Hello, everyone. Welcome to TAtech Live, our webcast about some of the most important topics and trends in talent acquisition and talent technology. My name is Peter Weddle. Today, we're going to cover a topic we're calling Megashifts. We're talking about the evolving world in talent acquisition. As some of you may recall, way back in 1980, the futurist John Nesbitt wrote a book called Megatrends, which was a bestseller and talked about 10 new trends, new directions in human society. We're calling our program Meta Shifts because we don't want to talk about changes in direction. We want to talk about changes in reality. Have we, in fact, gone from one state to another? And we're going to focus on three areas. Have we gone from experimentation to full-scale implementation with AI in talent acquisition? That's topic one. Topic two is, have we gone from talking about to actually implementing better candidate experiences? And topic number three is, have we made the shift? Are we actually in a new state where we no longer use traditional candidate qualification metrics and instead are using skill-based recruiting? And my guest today is just the perfect person to have a conversation about these topics with. He's an old friend and one of the smartest guys in the talent acquisition field, Adam Stafford, CEO of Recruitics. Adam, welcome.
Hey, Peter. Happy to be here. And thank you for the kind words.
You're most welcome. And it's nice to have the sirens of New York City behind you. So we'll make allowances for that.
Oh, they always come at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start by having you tell our viewers a little bit more about Adam Stafford and about Recruitics.
Yeah, happy to, Peter. So first, Recruitics, for anyone who's not familiar with Recruitics, we're a recruitment marketing platform, and we're known for pioneering programmatic job advertising. Recruitics got started about 12 years ago, 13 years this year, a little later this year. And Recruitics fundamentally opened up a market that used data to make optimizations in job advertising, recruitment marketing. And so that's where we got our start. Today, we've seen a lot of success. There've been a lot of other companies that have come into this industry, and today we offer a full suite of talent attraction and conversion solutions across our platform, both services and software. Fundamentally, our goal is to connect our clients, who are some of the world's greatest employers, with the quality talent that they need to drive their mission forward. And so, our goal every day is to make it easy to attract and hire great talent. And we do that using data, using a lot of data, increasingly using some of the emerging AI technologies, and also, doing that in partnership with all different kinds of talent audience providers, whether those are job boards or social media networks, newsletter sites, any way that you reach talent, we're helping our clients get their message in front of the audience that they want to bring in and ultimately become an employer of choice.
And I think Recruitics, and in particular the person of Tim Deneen, can make the legitimate claim to having invented programmatic ad buying and talent acquisition. Is that right?
Yeah, Peter, that is right. That is right. Yeah, Tim, one of our co-founders, an absolute. Tim is one of the greatest innovators in our space. He's always working on the next problem, and he's always making progress, right? And so, what Tim figured out, this was, back in 2009, was really when the idea emerged, was if we could use some of the ascendant publisher platforms that were called aggregators at the time, like Simply Hired, Indeed, Juju, some of the other very early adopters of pay-for-performance models in job advertising. If we could use those campaigns and modify them while those campaigns were in flight, that would give us the ability to optimize ad spend, very, very similar to the consumer space, where it had already become common practice to move dollars to where you were achieving outcomes or actions in the audiences that you were accessing that you desired. So, it really started with moving money to advertisements that were driving conversion rates, But it became a whole lot more complex than that over time. And I think the exciting thing today is that it's much more than job boards. It's much more than job advertising. Today, really the world of recruitment and recruitment marketing in particular is all about going to where the talent lives. And while job boards are a part of that, people spend a lot more time on TikTok. They spend a lot more time on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts. They spend a lot more time on Google, and now increasingly with technologies like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, these other spaces are where talent is seeking information about careers and job opportunity. And so the whole world is evolving quickly, and we're excited to be right at the cutting edge of it.
Well, that's a great segue to our first topic. So we're gonna tackle AI first. According to one source, quote, a staggering 86% of organizations now use virtual interviews to screen candidates, and AI-powered tools are taking it a step further by automating resume screening, skills assessment, and candidate ranking. So, what do you think, Adam? Do you buy that? Are we really in a new state where we're seeing an automated and optimized recruiting function driven by AI?
Well, so I believe the claim they make, and the reason that I believe that, Peter, is that video interviewing in particular has become ubiquitous post-COVID. I don't. There are not many organizations left that are doing initial screenings in person. Now, the real distinction is most of that video interviewing is still human to human. It's still synchronous in nature, and I think the leap that that you're talking about is really where an interview is being powered by AI on the employer's end and being completed by a candidate without there being a synchronous interaction with another human, right? And so, I think the video interviewing is here to stay. I think the shift, it's one of the shifts that is enduring out of COVID, even with employers returning to office in increasing numbers. It just makes so much sense. There's so much efficiency and time saving in doing any initial synchronous call over Zoom or Google Meet or with one of the more bespoke solutions like a HireVue. But when it comes to AI interviews, there have been a lot of startups over the last few years that have come to market offering different kinds of AI interviewing technology. They're coming to market as career coaches. They're coming to market as evaluation tools, as really assessment solutions. But what has become very clear very quickly is that most TA professionals and TA practices are hesitant to use an AI only solution, and instead looking for ways that AI can augment the video interviews that they're completing in a synchronous way. So from my perspective, I think the video interviewing is here to stay. AI's place in that is still very much up in the air. Where we see the biggest gains right now is in video interviewing tools that are using AI to perform some of the time, really the time-intensive functions around an interview. Scheduling is a big one, and then transcriptions, note-taking, ultimately evaluation as well. These things can all be sped up using AI. But when you really ask, are organizations ready to take the next step where it's an AI interviewer actually completing the interview? Most organizations are still pretty hesitant to take that leap at this point.
Well, that's a great metaphor for the larger application of AI in talent acquisition. I mean, in theory, if you read some of the commentary on social media and in the blogosphere, AI is supposed to eliminate a lot of the grunt work from talent acquisition, the stuff that recruiters have to do that takes forever and takes them away from their primary job. It's also supposed to improve the candidate experience. And both of those, I think, are based on your description, are present in the interviewing area. But what about some of the other aspects of recruiting? Do you think AI is playing a role has actually begun to play a role there? Have we seen that shift, or are
Yeah.
we still sort of aspirational with regard to that?
Well, so when we talk about AI, Peter, I think it's useful, maybe useful for the audience to segment the conversation to really candidate-facing user experiences that are powered by AI, and then applications of AI in the TA process. One of the things that I did, thinking about our call coming up today and this discussion, is I mapped out a fairly traditional hiring funnel and asked myself the question: is there a role for AI either in the front end of this experience, interacting with the candidate, on the employer's front end, interacting with a TA professional, or on the back end, doing something to automate a process? And I'll tell you what was interesting is I went through sort of a traditional recruitment marketing funnel, looking at awareness media, media where candidates can express intent, all the way through to active job seeker media. And every step of the way, there was a part for AI to play, whether it was overt in front of the candidate or in the background, right? And so when we think about that, I think the question aimed at, are we in a world where we're all just talking to bots all the time? Well, kind of, right? We're consuming media that's being selected by an ML-powered algorithm, a version of AI, right? And that media is actually speaking to us. It's how we're consuming information about the world. And that's in awareness media more broadly. When we get into some of the more emergent media types, there are new players coming into the job board space that aren't job boards. All they have is a chat interface, and they're being positioned as career coaches. It's very, very interesting to say, instead of I want to go look for jobs like I'd look on in Indeed or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn, look at a list of listings. Instead, let me go talk to an interface and tell it what I'm good at, and then have it serve me what is a more relevant match. And so, we're seeing it in the media space. The other really interesting piece for those AI-powered interactions on the candidate side early in the funnel is initial exchange of information. And one of the things that a technologist said to me actually just yesterday that really resonated, he said one of the best things about powering an interaction with AI is that you can make the AI agent mission driven. And so they're going to find a way to get the information that they need, versus a more traditional way to collect information, which would be a form, where if somebody fills out a form wrong, well, your data is bad from day one there. With an AI agent, you gave me a phone number, it doesn't look right, or hey, that's not the purpose of this particular question. Let me ask it a different way. And so they can actually, those AI agents and those interactions can be very very, very dogged almost in getting the right information up front, which then creates efficiencies as we get into the post media space and really the candidate experience with employers, right? So what we're seeing on the employer side today, certainly, Peter, I don't know if you saw Chipotle's earnings call or the interview that the Chipotle CEO had with Jim Cramer after, but they are attributing a ton of their success now to Avocado, which is the chatbot that right? It's the chatbot that Paradox brought to life, and Paradox, phenomenal company, has absolutely, from my perspective, changed the game when it comes to interactions on the career site with candidates who have already gotten to an employer's owned property on the web. Chipotle is also a client of ours, and so we do partner with Paradox to drive traffic through to Chipotle. And what we see is that the conversion rates and the impact that kind of technology can have make an enormous difference in the overall cost to staff expansion, like Chipotle is undergoing, where they're opening another 350 stores this year. So, I guess, this has been a long-winded way of responding, but as I look at AI technologies today, the adoption that's happening is happening fairly quickly in that initial exchange of information. It typically looks more like a chatbot in a type-driven interface than a AI powered like video interview. But behind that, there's a ton of opportunity really for for both employers and for publishers and those media partners to activate talent and ultimately get information from people and create connections with employers up funnel using AI in ways that, quite frankly, can take a process from 7 days to 7 minutes or 7 hours.
100 years ago, I wrote a book called Career Fitness, which analogized the way we need to take care of our careers to the way we take care of our bodies, physical fitness. And one of my predictions was that eventually technology would end up providing to everyday workers the same capability that professional athletes have. They have an agent that helps them take care of their careers. And as you just described, I think AI is, increasingly providing that capability to the individual working man and woman. And that's a good thing because it's tough to stay abreast of all of the opportunities and all of the directions that a person can go in such a dynamic economy as the one we have right now. So that brings me to our next topic, which is the candidate experience. And here's another quote. This one's from Indeed. Quote, in today's competitive market, the candidate experience is a crucial differentiator. Candidates expect a seamless and engaging hiring journey characterized by timely communication, transparency, and personal interactions, close quote. So we've been talking about optimizing the candidate experience for a very long time now. So
Yeah.
The question is, have we really in fact made the shift? Are we seeing things done better for candidates, or are we still investing in verbal capital in hot air?
I think we made progress on this, Peter. And I think one of the things that that astounded me when I got into HR tech and I really started to peel back the layers of the onion. One of the things that astounded me is that the core artifacts of talent acquisition haven't changed since the days of paper and pencil. And what I mean by that is, I think about when, my first job search back in the 90s, I would go to somebody's office and I'd walk in and I'd say, "Are you hiring?" And they'd say, "Here are our job postings." And they literally had paper postings, 8.5 by 11, on a board that was their job board. Okay. And then I'd say, "Oh, great. Can I fill out an application?" And they'd peel off a paper application. And I'd sit down and try to fill it out. All the boxes were the wrong size, right? So you're writing in the margins and all that good stuff. When I entered this space about 10 years ago, what shocked me is that the only innovation that had happened or digital transformation is that the industry had taken those existing artifacts and moved them online. And so when we think about a prototypical bad candidate experience, it's that same candidate experience of I can only see a few jobs, they aren't a very good fit, and then I fill out an application, it takes 45 minutes and it's hard and I have to redo it every time, right? Like that candidate experience has been prevalent really since the advent of the applicant tracking system, right? And so where we are today, and what I'm happy to say is that today the candidates are seeing a lot of improvements, not only in the employer-provided candidate experience. We talked a little bit about Paradox, but the ATSs are getting in the game too, right? Most ATSs provide some kind of either chatbot product or widget that can interact with the candidate and get information in a way that's more human, more natural, and at the end of the day, much faster for the candidate to complete. Parsing technologies have come a long ways. LLMs have powered really a new breed of parsing technologies that are doing a better job parsing documents and getting information out of them. But on the other side of the coin, it has also introduced some unexpected complications where candidates now are producing applications with the help of AI and agents are applying to jobs on behalf of candidates. And so now, where the better candidate experience is to some degree being enabled by AI, the TA ops job in a lot of instances is getting a lot harder because of the influx of better fit candidates, because ultimately the applications are being more tailored to the job, and they're happening at scale, and it's happening with a lot of automation. So, I think the candidate experience themselves, when we think about the candidates experience themselves, when we really put our job seeker hat on, I think the next wave of candidate experience, and it's interesting that Indeed is the one pointing this out in your quote, is the publishers and ultimately the businesses that are in the business of talent audiences are starting to bring the candidate experience farther up the funnel, right? And so Indeed did this with Indeed Apply quite a few years ago. I think to date, they built integrations with many of the big ATSs. And so the actual candidate experiences a representation of an opportunity on Indeed, and then their information is passed directly into the ATS. They actually don't interact with the candidate experience that the employer has created prior to applying. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I think we're going to see that farther up the funnel. We're going to see expressions of interest on social platforms like TikTok, like Meta, and the Facebook properties. We're going to see those expressions of interest trigger AI-generated workflows, so that then a candidate is actually, as opposed to going to a career site and being taken through some application process, they're actually being remarketed to after a very, very simple conversion where they don't have to leave the consumer experience they're in. And what that means that I look at those kind of opportunities, and I think that those are, from a job seeker's point of view, those are going to be the big winners, because what that means is that all of your passive candidates become much more accessible, and it gives opportunity to create intent in those passive talent audiences, and to do that based on a very, very small amount of information and expression of interest that can happen in a matter of seconds on any social platform. So this is it's obviously a topic that I'm passionate about, because I look at how do I open up as much audience as possible for our clients, right? And our clients, of course, they want to be on the job boards where somebody's looking for a job, but they also want to put their brand in front of the nurse who's in the middle of her commute, right? And they want that, and they want a home health aide who had a hard day with an employer to be exposed to a better opportunity and a better path forward and a brighter future, really anywhere where they consume media. So very, it's exciting for me to see not only what's happening where the employer has control of the web property, but actually, more importantly, what happens upstream where the candidates really live.
We've had a question come in which deals with sort of the back end application of the technology. We've talked about this forever, but the question basically is, can we use this technology to close the feedback loop so that candidates, once they get this wonderful invitation to participate, can they get more information back from the employer? Am I moving forward in a timely fashion? Or if I'm not moving forward, why not? What led me to be unsuccessful?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. I think every TA professional knows that in candidate feedback and survey data, the number one complaint is always, you can hear anything. It's the black hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, it'd be a bit of a tangent, but it could be interesting to think about, whether that complaint goes away when the candidate's no longer the one applying and they have an applying on their behalf, right? So that's actually, something that's evolving. But when we think about a candidate who has found an employer that has an opportunity for them that they believe they're a good fit for, I do think AI can really speed up the feedback loop. Our clients are very hesitant to introduce AI that is making any kind of decision in the hiring process. Even in North America, in the EU, there's already regulation that has, put that has required human in the loop to make that decision. That may happen in North America as well. But even without the regulation, what we're seeing is that our clients are saying, can I use AI to speed up the process of prioritization? And then once I've prioritized using AI, can I then get feedback back to candidates more quickly? And there are quite a few solutions now where candidates are getting immediate feedback on what their level of fit is for a job, getting a score, right, or some other summary of their qualifications versus the requirements. I think that those technologies are very promising. Again, the application gets much, much more difficult with the influx of AI generated applications kind of flooding the candidate side of that doc to doc matching process. But what I do think is positive about this for the candidate experience in particular is that when organizations are able to make decisions more quickly and disposition more quickly, the candidate, at least, even if it's just a rejection email, they know the outcome much
Right.
quickly.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to our third topic. Obviously we could talk about both of the two topics we've covered for the rest of the show, but I promised our viewers that we'd cover all three. So let's move on to skill-based training, or excuse me, skill-based hiring. And here's another quote. This one's from Staffing Hub. Quote, while 39% of respondents believe skill-based hiring is a key trend for next year, talking about 2025, current adoption of this approach is low, 20%. So is skill-based hiring still aspirational, or are we actually seeing it implemented to a significant degree among employers?
So skill-based hiring, really a few years ago, assessment technologies, I think, kind of became all the rage at HR tech, and it was sort of the new frontier. And everybody said, we're going to eliminate bias, right? We're going to get right to what people can do and what they, and what we know they can do, and hire them based on that fact, right? What's become a real challenge with skills-based hiring is that hard skills is where most of the research started. And the hard skills required to be successful in most jobs are evolving very, very quickly. And in particular, with the advent of AI and AI starting to assist people in the performance of their duties, right? We see this, it's really happening in engineering faster than anywhere else, right? Where the knowledge required to code in a complete narrow way is less important now than understanding the frameworks to apply to actually produce an application or a technology that delivers an intended result. And so what that means, when I look at skills-based hiring, I think hard skills-based assessments, I think we're in for a long cycle of chasing our tail a little bit when we really try to break down and say, these are the skills that you need to do this job today. The job evolves, the job changes, the company changes. Now, a year later, that skills assessment is out of date. Where I do think there's a lot of promise with skills-based assessments is in soft skills. And, I think there have been some trends to try to rebrand soft skills as enduring skills or durable skills, right, versus hard skills. But soft skills, when it comes down to the traits that tend to make employees successful in a given organization, there's a lot more correlation around like soft skills in candidates and successful employees than one would maybe expect. And so I think when we look at soft skills, that's where there's a lot of opportunity, because those more human qualities that ultimately they're just as hard to develop as the hard skills, but they endure through technological innovations, any shifts in the landscape. Those soft skills, from my point of view, are the ones that organizations should really be leaning into in any kind of assessment program, because when you hire the people who have the right soft skills, those people are going to be able to help the organization evolve in a rapidly evolving landscape and move into roles that we can't even dream of today.
That's such a good point. I wrote a post recently about an announcement from NVIDIA. Now, I know NVIDIA's taken a hit because of our good friend DeepSeek, but in point of fact, they made an announcement that was revolutionary. Technological development has been governed for the last 60 years by Moore's law. It took us 2 years to increase the number of transistors on a chip in any significant degree. So each generation of technology was tied to the capacity of those chips. And what NVIDIA announced is that they had found a way to decrease the time lag to significantly increase the power of a chip from 24 months to 9, which means that we're going to see a growing acceleration in the introduction of new products. So to that engineer that you were talking about, they are not only going to have to retrain once, they're going to have to retrain 4, 5, 6, 8 times during their career, which means that the soft skill of versatility, the willingness and the capability to be trained, it seems to me, is a powerful indicator of a person's ability to fill a job for any extended period of time. So I do think we have a ways to go in terms of the assessment of those soft skills, but that's going to be a critical factor, it seems to me, in talent acquisition success going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, I couldn't agree more. The other side of the DeepSeek, so NVIDIA, right, for their part, announced cutting time to double capacity. The really interesting thing with DeepSeek is that DeepSeek told the world, hey, we actually achieved a roughly equal result with a tenth of the capacity.
Right. So yeah, an old chip.
That's right. And you put those two things together, and you've got compounding, really exponential change happening. And I think in the labor market in particular, this is what we see. We as an entire society, we're still in the midst of a digital transformation, right? And a lot of the jobs that we do are things that that I couldn't even dream of as a kid. And I'm 43 years old, and so for me, I haven't seen nearly as much as many others in the world. But fundamentally, I look at the way that the job market evolves, the way that the jobs themselves evolve. I know that in our company, we're equipping our teams with AI, we're equipping our customers with AI, and I know that the future that is emerging is really an agent-assisted professional, and an agent-enabled professional is going to be the next generation of the workforce. And what's exciting about that is that I ask my teams, okay, how are you using AI? What do you use AI for today? And every response comes back to AI is making me more productive, and it's making me better at my job, and I'm able to do it to a higher degree of quality with less time, higher customer satisfaction, better outcomes for our clients, and ultimately a time savings that increases productivity. So I really do think we're on the wave of a next unlock in productivity in the American economy, in the world economy. And I'll tell you, I couldn't be more excited for it. It's an exciting time to be a part of recruitment marketing and TAtech.
Amen to that. I think that's a wonderful way to conclude our discussion today. Adam, I want to thank you for for the insights that you've shared. I've certainly learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show, but I suspect that more than a few folks are going to want to be in touch with you and learn more about Recruitics. Where's the best place for them to go to do that?
Yeah, so best case, best place, our website, recruitics.com. It's easy to get in touch with us. We've got, book a demo all over the site. And so it's simple to fill out a form, and we'll reach out, same day, most cases. And if somebody wants to get in touch with me directly, it's easy to find me on LinkedIn. And my email is also very simple. It's adam@recruitics.com. So feel free to reach out.
Well, and thanks all of you for joining us today. We appreciated your listening in, and also to the comments and questions that you asked in the chat stream. So thank you for that. Our next show will be next Thursday, the 13th, same time. We're going to talk to Julie Calley at Lenza about how job boards can be more effectively used by both employers and job seekers. So come on back for that program as well. Again, thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, Peter. Bye-bye, Al.
Thank you, Adam.